Love it so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader filled with mind. Cause we're awakened. You won't get.
Exploring Your Dreams 2014 with Rob Ragozzine. The Awakened Radio Network is thrilled and delighted to bring you Take 2, Exploring Your Dreams 2014, beginning March 8th at 1 p.m. Central, that's 2 p.m. Eastern. Rob will help you to understand the meaning of your dreams. He'll discuss your dreams and help you to work with them on an intuitive level so that you really understand the message of your soul brought to you each night in dream time. Did you know that the most basic dream symbols are often the 4 elements: air, earth, water, and fire? You may have dreams about escaping a burning building, drowning, swimming, flying, falling, or being at an earthquake. Looking at these elements within your dream can help you discover a basic understanding of the meaning that that dream has for you. Rob will bring you information on dream analysis, dream symbols, dream fragments, recurring dreams, regular dreams versus big dreams, archetypes, shadow, dream drama, setting dream intentions, importance of quality sleep, creating your dictionary. And this is a really exciting part. He's going to help you create your very own dream dictionary so that you know what the symbols in your dreams mean for you. Now, when does it start? March 8th. It is a six-week class that meets every other week. It takes place beginning March 8th, March 22nd, April 5th, and 19th, May 3rd, May 17th. 1.5 hours in each class where you are provided a private classroom to interact with Rob and the other students. You will be given all the study material that you need, plus all 9 hours of the recorded student classes and notes will all be made available to you so that you can download them on your computer. If you register by February 20th, you can save $50 on the course. This is big, boys and girls. Don't miss your opportunity to work with Rob Ragozzine here on the Awakened Radio Network so that you understand the message of your dreams. Visit awakenedradio.net. Look up at the top where it says Exploring Dreams. Click it, read all about it, get his free download meditation and the dream flyer that give you all the details on what's included in this class. Remember, visit awakenedradio.net, look at the top where it says Exploring Dreams.
Welcome to Simply Conversations. This show airs every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. Each week, we have a new conversation with a guest who will share their story with us about how they've changed or healed their own life. Listen to our discussion and be inspired. This show is brought to you by simplyconversations.com. Feel free to take part in our chat room, ask questions, and talk with our guests.
Hello, everyone. This is Rob Ragozzine. It's January 19th, 2014. Thank you for listening to us here on Simply Conversations. This show's all about how our guests have begun utilizing guidance from their hearts. What has your heart been asking for? And which conversations have inspired you to make important changes in your life? Please join us in the chat room at awakenedradio.net and click on the live chat tab, or join us on the air by adding Awakened Radio to your Skype or dialing 334-649-7204. My guest this week is Trina Hammack. She's founder and director of Cornerstone Wellness Center in Monterey, California, and she calls upon over 18 years of experience with helping clients to achieve optimal health. And she's a certified holistic health coach, nutritional consultant, Biofeedback specialist, and Bodywork practitioner. And with that, I welcome Trina onto the show.
Hi, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Trina.
Sure thing.
Now let's talk a little bit about 2014. Are you noticing anything in particular with your clients, any themes? Anybody looking for some time to step into reflection?
You know, it seems that a lot of my clients are showing up with really wanting to handle their old patterns, things that have plagued them their entire life, and they don't know why. So what I've been helping them do lately, a lot more actually, is helping them to map out earlier trauma that sets up a pattern in their lives. And we go back and we actually get to the root of the problem, of the issue, the trauma, the conflict that's either creating the foundation to a disease or an emotional state or a negative pattern in their life. And we heal it there, and then they can move forward completely transformed. It's been amazing. But that's who's showing up these days, is they really want to get to the root of, why do they have a cancer? Why do they always pick certain types of people to be in their lives? And so that's what we've been doing a lot lately, is backtracking and figuring it out and then healing it.
Now, how do you work with clients, Trina? Do you use a mix of therapies?
Absolutely. Yeah, I use, when somebody walks in my door, we never know where we're going to start. Sometimes I'll use some of my devices, my biofeedback, biocommunication devices, and scan their systems to find out, okay, what do they need nutritionally, or what kind of detox do we want to set up for them? We can get that going, but then it depends upon what's going on for them. And a lot of times these emotional issues are creating stagnation in their life. So, for example, I have had lately 2 clients with multiple myeloma cancer walk in my door. And it's pretty serious. They've gone through chemo, and so what we do with that is we sit down and we map out the traumas that are related to multiple myeloma. So each type of cancer or dis-ease, for example, and even Louise Hay has been talking about this for years, has a specific trauma that is associated with it. And so what we do is we backtrack and we find the very first time that type of trauma happened, and then we go into forgiveness and letting go. Sometimes it's the 5-year-old that went through a trauma and they never got a chance to speak. They never got a chance to say what was, what they were feeling, what was on their mind. And so what I really enjoy doing is figuring out exactly where we need to go, and then we set up a meditation where that 5-year-old comes forward and gets finally a chance to speak and have a voice. And then that's the beginning of the healing. And from there, you can have this domino effect of healing just transform your life. And, both those people with multiple myeloma, which is, doesn't have a good prognosis, both of them, by doing this work in 2 sessions, their cancer numbers went to 0. It's incredible. And they feel as if they've got a whole new lease on life, which is what I love.
But everyone's results are different.
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on how are you willing to go there. I had ovarian cancer 5 years ago, and I have this a melon-sized tumor, and so I had to figure out, after they took it out, I wasn't going to do chemo in the traditional route. I did things my own way with an alternative doctor, et cetera. And what I found was it was very difficult to not always think, is it coming back? Is it coming back? And so I had to figure out what causes cancer in the first place, and what causes any kind of disease in the first place, and how can I make sure it's not coming back? And so I started researching, and I came across Dr. Hammer's German New Medicine and Recall Healing and Total Biology, and it's a type of therapy that ties specific types of traumas to specific types of diseases or cancer. And you can actually see on a brain scan marks on the brain, on different areas of the brain that relate to specific organs. And you can see these marks that have been created by trauma, which set you up for disease. So I actually had my brain scan read by a woman in Canada, Isadora Laker, and I needed to know, is this cancer coming back? I was obsessed with it. Am I done with it? What do I have to do from here? And she read it, and she read my brain scan almost like a psychic reading. She told me everything that had been wrong with me in my life. And then she said, congratulations, it's not coming back. And then she explained why and how she could tell that just from a brain scan. So that I use that technique a lot. Is we take a look at what's going on, what is the type of conflict that is in relation to the disease that they have, and then we backtrack and we figure out where it started, and then we heal it from there.
Trina, you mentioned forgiveness and letting go. Do you have any exercises that you can share with the listeners for that?
Absolutely. That's the core of all this work. And in my office, we have this motto. We say, name it, claim it, dump it. And it's as easy as that. It's not always easy, of course, because you might have been carrying something around for 20 years, and it's making you sick. So the name of the game, again, name it, claim it, dump it. So for some people, they have an issue with their mother or father, and I'll recommend, after they leave here and we do some work together, I say, okay, now go home and write letters and just pour your heart out in these letters of everything that you need to say. And then what age of you was the one that was hurt the most? Oh, it was my 5-year-old. Oh, it was my 10-year-old self. And then you write the letter from their perspective. So again, you want to talk and release the stuck emotions from the age at which you had the trauma. And so if you express it to the person in a letter, it doesn't mean you have to send them a letter. Absolutely not. But let that child within you express it in a letter, and then you can burn it, and then you can bury it. And it can be so freeing in your heart, and it feels like you just lost 20 pounds when you let this stuff go through letter writing. Some of my clients will actually take, when they have an issue with somebody, they'll actually take a photograph, and if the person is still alive in body, they'll use a color photograph, and if they've passed on, they'll use a black and white, and they'll enlarge this photo, and they'll paste it on a poster board, and then they'll get out a Sharpie, and they'll just start writing all over the picture, all over the poster board. They'll just write and write and write and write until they have nothing left to say, until they're empty. That's where they're dumping everything that they needed to say. And then they'll rip it up, they'll burn it, they'll bury it, and then they'll move on. And that is such a wonderful technique for letting go of a lot of old stuff that we carry around in our hearts.
Can they display it, or are they just letting it go?
You know what? You want to let it go, because if you hang on to, you'd still be hanging on to it. If you held on to the letters or the poster board, let it go. Just let it go. Walk away. And if you can't forgive the person, it's not for them, it's for you. Because holding on to these conflicts and these emotions is making you sick. It's renting space in your brain, not theirs. So do it for yourself. And having some compassion goes a long way as well. Sometimes you may not be able to forgive somebody for something they've done, but you can have compassion. You can sometimes find compassion, and that's enough to help you let it go. And if you can get to that point, then you're going to be free.
And that's what's important.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're holding on to all that stuff, your body's in conflict, your brain is in conflict. And one of two things is happening to your system. You're either breaking down tissue or you're growing a polyp or a tumor or something, unexpressed anger. You're growing this stuff inside of you while you're in conflict. You have no idea. And then when you resolve the conflict, you go into a healing phase, and you might get fevers or you might get pain and swelling. And the sooner you resolve these conflicts, the less chance you have of developing deep-seated disease like cancers. So name it, claim it, dump it. Let it go. Don't hang on to that stuff. And then make sure that you're getting enough rest. After you let this stuff go, you find yourself getting tired. Well, great. That means you're going into a healing phase. You're finally healing. And so give yourself some space. Give yourself some room to rest and eat good food and healthy food and feed your body, because it needs molecules and nutrition to repair itself when it's been in conflict for such a long time. So be kind to yourself after you've let this stuff go. And some people, they may need to do it multiple times. I grew up in a family where there was a lot of abuse, and I had to do this exercise a lot with my stepdad. And until I got to the point where it was a non-issue. And that's when you're done, when you have no charge on it anymore. And, it just doesn't bug you like it used to. So, but then afterwards, make sure that you take care of your physical body, because it needs to repair.
Now, Trina, let's get a little deeper with the emotions and how they play a role in disease. Because you explained it, but I don't think everyone understands fully how they contribute.
Right. So according to Dr. Hammer and his theory of German New Medicine and recall healing and total biology, these are all spin-offs on Dr. Hammer's work. And he is a medical doctor who studied over 40,000 cancer patients and found that each specific type of cancer had a very specific type of trauma linked to it. So what he figured out was that when you have a shock or a trauma, the brain, the body, and the psyche all get hit with this shock wave at the same time. And you can literally look at a brain scan, and I've had mine done twice, and you can see these shock waves. They look like tree rings or a little ripple effect on a brain scan. And so when you have the shock or trauma, it hits the brain, the body, and the psyche, and it starts to create stress within the body. So the sooner you resolve this conflict, the better. And that means you're not going to keep replaying it out over and over and over in a pattern for the rest of your life. Sometimes, and I've been trying to disprove Dr. Hammer's theory for a long time, but I've got to say he's really right. We've been taught that cancer is always an illness. Well, sometimes cancers show up when you heal deep-seated old conflicts. So when I was 3, I'll give you an example of emotional trauma and creating disease. When I was 3, I was taken from my dad in the middle of the night. My mom took all 4 of us kids away and ran off with another man. And I didn't see my dad for 43 years. And so what happened was that shock or trauma of being taken away from him registered as a profound loss on my brain, and that ties to my ovaries, especially it tied to my right ovary. And so what happened was, from that point onward, my right ovary was breaking down in little microperforations for all those years that I had this profound loss. I didn't see my dad for years and years and years. And then, 43 years later, we had a little bit of contact for a couple of years. 43 years later, I decided, well, I'm going to go on this dolphin trip with my family down to Florida and stop and spend a few days with my dad and get to know him. So we did, and it was really nice. And so what happened automatically, without my conscious mind knowing, my subconscious said, wow, she has her daddy back. It's time to repair that ovary that's been breaking down all those years, because profound loss ties to the ovary. So it sent amino acids to my brain, and it sent the signal to my ovary to start repairing itself. So it actually was such an old, deep, profound conflict that the repair phase, instead of it being just a cyst or something minor like that, it actually was so big and so old, it was actually a cancer. So the repair of the conflict actually created a cancer. It's the opposite of what we've been taught. And like I say, I've been trying to disprove this, but it seems to be right on every single time. So it takes 9 months to heal an ovary. Once you resolve the conflict, you go from the conflict active stage into the resolution stage, and then you go into a healing phase. So the healing phase actually was the cancer. It swelled to the size of a melon, and little fingers went out to grab nutrition to bring it back to the ovary for repair. And then at a certain time, those fingers retract back in. And then after 9 months of that process, it dies from the inside out. And so by the time I had it checked out, it was funny. I kept trying to get in to see a doctor about it, and the doctor would get sick, or the appointment would get put off. There was, my angels or somebody was telling me not to go in quite yet. And so when I finally went in, and they ended up taking it out, they found that it was already dying off. And so it went through its full 9-month cycle, and that was it. And it was done. And I've walked away from ovarian cancer. So I've found that it is true. His theories are true. It's the opposite of what we've been taught about disease. I was living a really great, healthy life. How could somebody living such a really healthy life develop cancer? And so I've learned a lot about how emotional trauma can create disease. It doesn't have to be a cancer. It can be any kind of disease, and there's always an emotional trauma or issue linked to it.
So, Trina, it's really about a willingness to be honest with yourself and to look at these issues for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And is everyone that comes to you willing to do that?
You know what? The people that come here, yeah, they do. It's kind of miraculous. Some of the people that come and work with me, they've been everywhere, they've done everything. They don't know where else to go. And they think they've done everything until they walk in my doors. And then I pull out a variety of tools and mix them together, and we find out, what the seed of that disease is, or the seed of why they have pain. That's a whole nother issue. People can come to me for pain and think they've tried everything, been everywhere, done everything, and then we may find that it's an interference field, which is a blockage within the system due to an injury or a surgery or a vaccination that's reflecting to an area and creating pain. So, the people who come, a lot of times I'm their last resort. And so they're willing to do whatever it takes. But I'm word of mouth, and the right people show up at the right time. And so I'd have to say that 99.9% of the people that I work with are ready to do whatever it takes to get well.
So how can someone prepare to come to see you?
Just show up.
Just show up. Just be willing to show up and do the work.
That's right. That's right. That's all it takes. And you know what? As long as you're brave enough to face some of the things that you're afraid of and walk through them, and you know, we hold your hand and we walk through them and we face it together, and then by the time you walk through it, it's not an issue. It's not hanging over your head anymore. And then your whole life can change and your whole perception can change. You know, sometimes I use this device called the Evox, and it's a biocommunication device that's activated by your voice, and it measures the frequencies in your voice, and it says, wow, okay, she's talking about this subject, and she's got a lot of stress around it. She's got these frequencies, but she's missing all these other frequencies. So if we biofeedback these frequencies to her, she can become whole again, and you can shift your perception, and you can move on from something that's been plaguing you, and it really does work. So sometimes I'll mix the Recall Healing or German New Medicine with the Evox together with the biofeedback, and it shifts people so fast, and it's absolutely miraculous. And you don't have to go through and, you know, dredge everything up, which is cool when you use that device. You just talk about it. It measures the subtleties in your voice, and then it gives you what you need so you can move on. So that's kind of cool. But as long as the person's willing to show up, willing to do whatever it takes, hey, that's where the fun begins. That's where they get their life back.
Trina, we're coming up to the break. So can you share ways people can reach you?
Oh, sure. I've got two websites. They're being rebuilt right now, but quantumvitality.com. You can go there, and you can actually sign up and get 7 keys to vitality, an MP3. It will give you tons of information for your health. And then I can also be found at cornerstonewellnesscenter.com.
And do you have a Facebook or a Twitter account?
Absolutely. I've got my own Trina Hammack on Facebook, and Cornerstone Wellness Center on Facebook, and Quantum Vitality on Facebook as well. And they all link to my Twitter.
And people can tweet or post to you, and you'll be able to somehow respond?
Oh, absolutely. If somebody's stuck and needs some help, yeah, just let me know. Absolutely. That's what I'm here to do. It's my mission.
And are you involved with any upcoming events or activities?
Nothing in particular other than lots of work here. It's very, very busy at the office.
So be sure to check in and see how busy it is, or just make an appointment and know that it'll be taken care of.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And is there anything that I've missed? Do you have a book or
not yet. People keep asking me to start that, and it's a matter of time. So I really love spending my time helping people get to the root of their issues and helping them get well. So that's where my time has been focused. But there may be one in the works soon.
So we'll look forward to that, and we'll come back after break and talk more about some of these exercises, perhaps a little bit more about the e-box. So stay tuned for more conversation with Trina Hammack.
Cause we're awakened, you won't catch us sleeping through the fight, and like we're all as open showing up.
Becoming a well-rounded person in our modern society is no easy task. We're much too busy working, raising families, and trying to carve out a few precious moments of peace, let alone worry about becoming self-actualized. Hi, I'm Alan Weisberg, founder of School of Human Potential, and we get it. The reason for starting the school was to help people like you become well-rounded and self-actualized without taking a lot of time or money. We found and filmed world-renowned experts and put their knowledge into easily accessible online courses spanning various topics of mind, body, and spirit. You can go at your own pace and access them on any device. To start, go to www.schoolhp.com. Our hope is that you allow us to take you on a journey leading to a new you. Here's to you reaching your full potential.
Station owner here at the Awakened Radio Network, and I'd like to ask you for your help. Would you consider helping Awakened Radio Network move into 2014 in a brand new, bigger, more exciting way? Live streaming TV in addition to our live streaming radio. If you would love to give something back to the station that gives you the tools for self-empowerment so that you can do your own healing and your own work, well, then head on over to www.gofundme.com Awakened Radio. That's gofundme.com/Awakened Radio. Your donations can help us move into 2014 bigger, better than we've done for the past 2 years. Please help us out. Consider making a donation. And after donating, please use your social networks, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, all of them to share gofundme.com/Awakened Radio. We've done this much together. Just think what we can do if each one of us will invite 10 people to come and support the Awakened Radio Network. Thank you so much. I'm Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru, and as always, I love you, and I remind you, love yourself well. Peace.
This show airs every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. Each week, we have a new conversation with a guest who will share their story with us about how they've changed or healed their own life. Listen to our discussion and be inspired. This show is brought to you by simplyconversations.com. Feel free to take part in our chat room, ask questions, and talk with our guests.
Hello, everyone. We're back with Trina Hammack. And if you have a question for Trina, you can dial 334-649-7204 or add Awakened Radio to Skype or type it in our live chat room. And Trina, we're back, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about the EVOX machine. Sounds very interesting, and I was wondering if it works remotely.
You know, as a matter of fact, it does. I've got 3 biofeedback devices that do work remotely. And the way that works is if you have a PC at your home, we have you download software, and I send you a hand cradle that actually can test your system through the internet. So it's based on galvanic skin response. So you put your hand on this hand cradle. It will measure the subtle energies in your body, and we can actually biofeedback frequencies back and forth. So we do the EVOX that way, and that's for helping to reframe perception and, healing something and emotionally and walking away from it. And we also do that with the sister program to the EVOX, and that's called the Zyto. And the Zyto will scan your system and take a look and say, wow, you've got stress in these organs. If we do these particular detoxification protocols or this type of live nutrition, we can actually help you get well. And my best friend is a Lyme doctor in Virginia. She moved out there from California, and we were tag teaming with her patients for many years. And using the EVOX and the Zyto, we can actually still tag team with her patients out on the East Coast. So they have a remote setup out there, and we can scan them, do their therapy, send them what they need. It's really efficient, it's really accurate, and it's really simple.
Sounds very powerful, too.
Yeah, it is very powerful.
Now, do you give them other tools for working with stress so that they can start to incorporate something into their own lives?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I teach a lot of detoxification protocols, and I teach how to be able to monitor your own pH so that you can tell whether or not your system is running optimally. If your pH is off, for example, then you will be demineralized. And when you're demineralized, you'll be leaching calcium and minerals out of your bones to buffer the pH in your blood. And so that's not very good. Then you end up with weak bones. So I teach people how to take control of their health by monitoring their pH, logging their pH, watching what they're eating, knowing what kind of foods to eat to bring up their alkalinity, because you want to be in this perfect zone. You want to be about 6.4 to 7.0 with the alkaline pH. If you're anything below that or above that, then you're actually leaching minerals out of your bones and becoming weaker. So I teach people about pH. We talk about cookware and heavy metals and how to empower yourself and make the best choices so that you can stay healthy and strong and empowered.
So get rid of the aluminum pots.
Say that again?
Get rid of the aluminum cooking pots.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And even, you know what? The deodorants that are out there on the market, they're full of aluminum. And it drives me crazy because people are mainlining aluminum right into their lymphatic system. And, you know, heavy metals migrate to the fattiest parts of your system, and your brain is an organ that's fat. And so people end up with lots of heavy metals in their brain. So I recommend to, you know, stop using those deodorants that have aluminum in them. There's so many alternatives out there now without metals in them that you can choose. So, you know, those are just some simple little tips, but, you know, it makes all the difference in the world.
So what can they use instead?
Well, if you go to your health food store, you'll see that there's a brand, Tom's of Maine. They use essential oils, and they have aluminum-free ones. What I personally use is a salt stick, and you can get those these days at your local drugstore, and you just wet them with water and use that, and they work great. It's just natural salts. So, you know, if you take a tour through your health food store and just look at all the alternatives that you can find to some of these products. You know, toothpaste with fluorides. You know, I don't use fluoridated toothpaste. I don't want to weaken my bones. And, you know, but go to a health food store and see what do they have that's an alternative. And, you know, not everything at a health food store is that great. You know, you want to be really watchful of your supplementation, for example, because there's a lot of fillers and excipients and magnesium stearates, for example, in your vitamins. So you want to be really careful, even at health food stores, of what you're buying. But at least you've got some alternatives there. And so I've really helped my friends and clients and family to make a better choice, using pure essential oils instead of perfumes, for example. I had this little 5-year-old coming in, and her mom was dousing her with perfume every day, and I scanned her, and we figured out that perfumes were messing up her thyroid, and her thyroid numbers were off the charts. So we started detoxifying gently her thyroid, and her numbers went to normal. So we have to be really careful about all these things that are out there in the world, and we have to know what are the best choices, what are the healthiest choices for each of us.
Great. So, Trina, there's been lots of research showing up just about drinking soda, for instance.
Right. Right, so, yeah. You know, that's, again, the sodas, not to mention just the fact that it's full of sugar and it's rotting people's teeth, but it actually demineralizes you. It does the same thing with, it pulls your minerals out of your bones and it makes you weak. And so, yeah, sodas aren't your friend. Even sparkling waters can have that same effect. That carbonation can have that same effect.
So stay away from those products as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want, if you want to alkalize your system, think greens, think minerals. So leafy greens, chlorellas, algae, these types of products. And I use a brand called Premier Research Labs, and they're all plant-based products that are really pure and really clean. So when you're looking for a nutritional product, you want to make sure there's no other ingredients. Some products out there, they'll have natural flavors in them. That's masked. It can be MSG, being masked as natural flavors. So anything that says natural flavors, I stay away from. Lots of greens, lots of leafy greens. Use food as your medicine, and watch your pH. You can get little pH strips at the health food store. I have them here. If you can't find them, just contact me. I'll get you some. And then monitor morning and evening. You pee on the paper, and you take a look. Okay, where was my pH in the morning? And then do it again at night. And if you're eating a really healthy alkalizing diet during the day, you should be in a pretty good zone. If you're not in that zone of 6.4 to 7.0, you're doing your body some serious damage. And when you look at the standard American diet out there, it's a mess. Fast foods and GMOs, and it's toxic. And everybody out there is running to their doctor for a pill because everything's falling apart. Well, if you start drinking more clean, fresh water, start getting some exercise, start eating it in a clean way, that's going to start turning around your internal chemistry. Your pH is going to go up. You're going to save your bones. Your body's going to have the minerals it needs to do what it needs to do to be healthy, to detox and to rebuild. And so I usually recommend to a lot of my clients like a greens powder every day. And if you're still, when you're monitoring your pH, if you're still not getting up into that alkaline zone, you need more minerals. Our food out there is the soil, for the most part, is pretty mineral depleted. And so we're not getting the minerals that we think we're getting in our foods. So even though we're eating well, we still may not be getting enough minerals. So a good greens powder would be really, really helpful every day.
Something with lots of minerals.
Yeah, exactly. Because you get lots of minerals through dark leafy greens like kale and spinach and those types of leafy green veggies. But most people don't, they either overcook them or they're eating non-organic, and then they're getting the pesticides. And gosh, those pesticides, unless you are targeting them for a detox, which we do here, the molecules are so big they stay in your tissue, and it's hard to detoxify them out. They go into the fat. The fat surrounds them to keep them out of the bloodstream. So fat is going to surround those toxins and try to keep you protected. So then people go and lose their fat, and then they release all these toxins into their bloodstream. It can be pretty scary. So eating organic in the first place is probably your best bet.
Now, Trina, you're talking about detoxing. Does that include things like colonics?
Yeah, absolutely it can. There's a practitioner down the street that I've known for years, And she does colonics, and I'll send some of my clients there who really need that kind of help. But, not everybody's ready to go and do a colonic. So I've got little mini flushes and mini cleanses that we use with food. For example, we have a tomato concentrate. And in the morning, I have some of my clients take that and mix it with some hot water to make like a little soup. And then they add some fresh lemon, they add a little pink salt for minerals, and they add some olive oil. And it's actually really yummy. They can throw some garlic in there, fresh garlic. And what that does, if you drink that first thing in the morning, it starts to gently start to detox your liver. And then I usually have my clients about 45 minutes later take a product that's got some like psyllium in it to absorb the toxins that are getting released from the liver. And so my clients who aren't ready to go and do a colonic or do their coffee enemas, we start them with a real easy flush like that. And you can start to move toxins out that way.
And how often do you recommend that they do that?
You know what? Everybody's different. So somebody who's super toxic, it may be once a week. Somebody who's in much better shape could do it every day. It just depends on the individual. And so there's not really a blanket statement that you can say. You want to take a look and see where the person is at. One thing that can help detoxification as well is put some organic lemon in your water every day. And you can add a little pink salt for minerals as well. But the lemon will start to thin the bile in the liver and gallbladder, and you can start to move toxins out that way as well. And a lot of people, most people can handle that as a beginning place to start.
And drink that and coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Coffee can be really acidifying, so it's a diuretic. It's going to make you dehydrated. It's going to deplete your adrenals. There's a whole lot of negative effects of coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker myself, never have been. But there's a lot of alternatives. Again, go to your health food store. What are my alternatives to coffee? There's all sorts of products that come out that people really like. Even just drinking some matcha tea, that would be much better than coffee for your adrenals. People have the coffee for a little pick-me-up, but that's taking its toll on your adrenals at the end of the day. So, feed your adrenals and don't deplete your adrenals with the coffee.
Trina, how can we do that?
Well, some of the best things that you can do for your adrenals are live B vitamins. So, for example, I use Premier Research Labs Max Stress B vitamins here. They're plant-based Bs. A lot of B vitamins on the market, you have to be really careful, and they're not going to tell you this on the label, of course, but they're derived from coal tar, so you're getting petrochemicals in your Bs. And so we use a live bee here that is in a liquid form. It gets absorbed within 20 seconds, and probiotics eat the plant-based bees and pre-digest them, so you absorb it very, very quickly. So it works on the liver, works on the adrenals very fast to bring down inflammation, to help with focus, to help with energy. But the adrenals love B vitamins, so you can be taking B vitamins. Again, we're a society that's really depleted in minerals, so a good magnesium that's clean of mag stearate and other fillers, like I said, the Premier Research Labs line is really great because it's so pure. The adrenals really, really respond well to magnesium. They also respond really well to vitamin C, herbs like ashwagandha. So, anytime you're looking for adrenal support, make sure that there are no fillers and excipients, other ingredients, or natural flavors in your product. And in our busy, busy world, we have to make sure that we're feeding our adrenals. So what happens is if your adrenals get taxed by poor diet, from soda consumption, from coffee, from stress, then you start to not sleep very well. And our adrenals are supposed to recharge when we're sleeping at night, but if your adrenals aren't recharging, then you're not going to sleep. So it's this vicious cycle. So if you can feed them throughout the day, I'll take my B vitamins and I'll put them in my water bottle, and I'll sip them throughout the day so that I have steady energy, I've got steady focus, I'm helping my liver, I'm helping my adrenals, helping my brain all day long in a really balanced way. So those are some really simple ways to make sure that your adrenals are fed. Even things like Epsom salt baths at night before you go to bed can help give you the extra magnesium that we're so deficient in to start to really feed the adrenals so that you sleep. The magnesium will help you relax and fall asleep, and then your adrenals will get recharged at night.
And how much Epsom salt would you use for a bath?
So what I do personally, I take, I put a lot in. I put a couple cups of Epsom salts, and then I'll put a half to a cup of baking soda, and that will help to balance out my pH. And then I use a product that I really love. It's called Miracle 2 soap, and I think you can get it at Miracle 2 online. And it's a liquid soap that actually helps to balance your pH, and it makes a million bubbles in a bubble bath. So I throw some of that in, and it helps to calm the nervous system, and I throw the baking soda. Sometimes I'll mix a little bit of Young Living lavender or Peace and Calming into the Epsom salts before I throw them in the bath, so I can have an aromatherapy bath.
Sounds very relaxing.
It's nice.
Can you send us some of the list of ingredients there? It sounds like our listeners might like to try to build that bath for themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, we were talking about soda and coffee, but we didn't mention even worse are the energy drinks. Yeah. Yeah. So again, you don't even give your body a chance to rest ever.
No, they don't. No, you're constantly trashing your adrenals when you do those, and you're just setting yourself up for a lot of problems, chronic fatigue. You know, I get worried about these kids using the energy drinks, because they're just setting themselves up for a lifetime of unhealthy habits. But yeah, they trash your adrenals, deplete your system. It's a short burst of energy. It's not they're not sustainable. And I just wish they weren't even out there on the market.
Now, do you also teach meditation and include that in the healing process?
Yeah, there's this one in particular that I like to do, and it's actually from Brandon Bays, and it's called The Journey. And she has a book that you can get. And I want people, I've altered this type of meditation, but you can pick this book up and you can walk yourself through it. And it's helping you to let go of the things that plague you all the way back. So you do this meditation and you go down into the center of your heart and you bring your younger self with you. Let's say it's your 5-year-old who's been wounded. And you build a beautiful campfire of unconditional love. And it's a safe place, and that's where your younger self gets a chance to express to whomever harmed them. And it's a really liberating, beautiful meditation that really helps you to heal. And then I took it one step further, and after the child has a chance to have a conversation with whomever they have the issue with, after they feel pretty good about it, then we kind of go to the higher self level, and we take a look at, okay, well, what was the lesson that you were to be learning, you each were to be learning from this wrongdoing? And more often than not, the person comes to a realization, and then that's when they can let go and they can forgive. So it's a beautiful meditation, and I would recommend to your listeners to pick up the book from Brandon Bays. It's called The Journey, and it's in there. But that's one of my favorite meditations that I use in the office. And I combine that with the EVOX so that we have biofeedback going back and forth so they can really shift their perception. And then with the biofeedback, we make a little remedy to really solidify the session. So, again, I mix the modalities.
Sounds like it's going to be very helpful.
Absolutely. It's very helpful.
Now, Trina, we're at the end of the show, so can you share your links again so that people can find you?
Oh, absolutely. So I have quantumvitality.com, and please feel free to go there and get my recording of the 7 Keys to Vitality. It's a great interview with lots of information for you. Cornerstone Wellness Center.com is the center's website. I can be found on Twitter at Quantum Vitality at Trina Hammack. And then if you need to reach me by phone, the office number is 831-373-6204, or by email at quantumtrina@mail.com.
Is there anything you'd like our listeners to know about you?
Well, I'm like a pit bull in that I like to get to the bottom of things as quickly as possible, and that my mission here is to help you get well so that you can get out there and do your mission.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Trina.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you for coming on. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Have a good night. Thank you.
So that was Trina Hammack, and her information will be up in the forum for you to find, and it will also be at simplyconversations.com. Now, if you'd like to sponsor this show, you can do so by providing us with a 30-second script, which will play at the start, middle, and end of the show. And then each show is played. We have 4 show times a month, so minimum your show ad we play 12 times a month. And it's a great opportunity if your business is based on healing, health, or wholeness. And we also have my dream class coming up on March 8th, which you can come to awakenedradio.net and click on the Dream tab, and you'll be able to sign up for that class, which starts March 8th and runs for a series of 6 live sessions every other week. And I'll walk you through your dreams, and we'll talk about how we can explore the meaning of the symbols within your dream and then begin to incorporate the message back into your life, not just say, oh, this is a nice dream. No, we're going to actually explore it and apply the meaning into your life so you'll get the benefits from the dream, and it'll also be a lot of fun as we explore and learn about ourselves through the dream work. So please do come to Awaken Radio, read more about it, and sign up. And there's a $50 discount if you sign up now until I guess the end of the month. So thank you for listening tonight, and we'll see you again next Sunday for another edition of Simply Conversation. Thanks for listening tonight, and invite your friends next week. Come on back.
Showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened. Come and join our love. It's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you